gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles, brought to you by Shawn Porter Promotions.
Nasty.
Hey, I still can't do that to my baby. I usually like to wipe. So I'm like, I'm not putting my face.
I'm all over it.
You do it?
All over it.
I'm not doing that to my baby.
It's a connection you get.
Nah, I'm not spitting on my baby.
You about to pull an option flip right now? You pulled the football out right when it started. Hey, what'd you think of the fights? Go.
Well, he had a pen in his hand. I thought he was going to sign it.
Nah, you know, I'm a fidgeter, right?
Okay. So you decided you just go full fidget with a football instead of just the pen?
Nah, we were talking earlier. It just is what it is.
Seen his boy last night. His boy was a fan of him.
Oh, yeah.
So Sean want to come back.
To what? Boxing?
Yeah,
football?
Football.
Yeah.
Saw Le'Veon Bell last night. Shout out to Le'Veon.
He was at the fights?
He was at the fights.
He was holding the belt. Some too low, some would say.
Hey, big fan of you on the show, he said.
Le'Veon Bell is?
Nah, he ain't say that.
I'm sure he is, though. I'm sure he is.
He ain't say nothing about none of us. I ain't gonna lie.
It's cool, man. He got me for a second. I'm not gonna lie.
You've mentioned it before, but it was funny when we're leaving. First off, to confirm what we said last week, Ant is clearly the biggest celebrity of any of us.
No, it's Sean.
But Sean now, instead of like, yo, great career, people are yelling, yo, Sean, love the show. Sean, love the podcast.
That is crazy.
I'm like, I don't know if that says something about how good the podcast is or...
Hey,
I actually think the former.
I stopped in my tracks when somebody called him a legend.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody said, man, you're a legend. And all I got was the debris of the legend part. Yeah. And I turned, I was like...
You thought maybe they're talking about the movie with Will Smith?
I looked at the dude, looked at Ant, looked back at the dude, looked at myself. I was like, who's he talking to?
Hey, Sean don't see nothing about a legend in me.
And then he saw Sean and he said, hey, you're the other guy from the podcast.
But I talk to myself all the time. So I started walking. I was like, a legend in podcast? Like, that's possible?
You got here, man.
So,
oh, man.
Definitely possible.
And then my man be getting... What do you get now? Fight height with a podcast?
For what? For
when people recognize you.
Oh, both.
Double dip right here.
But
he call himself B-side. I call him double dip.
He's diversifying his bonds.
What happened was... I think they knew who I was a little. They heard that voice on Fight Hype, but getting on the show allowed people to actually see who I am. So, for sure, I think a lot of people know me from the podcast. Yeah. What happened?
That's why I know you.
What did I just miss?
I don't know. I heard my son in another room. Then he got up.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, it's anarchy.
Welcome to the Port Away Podcast. If you didn't know,
now you know.
A few minutes in now, but so I told you I had a question to start out, and it transitions into or from the weekend.
Then I have a story to tell.
Okay. So my guy, Guillermo Rigondeaux, comes up short in Dubai yesterday. Gets knocked down.
Take his ass to the nursing home now.
Yeah, it is probably time for the career, but aside from the point. So my question was, and I've never asked you this, have you ever been in the ring with somebody that good defensively, whether it's sparring or in a fight? Not like to Rigo's level, but like somebody that's like a very defensive fighter.
Patient.
That tested you where you're like, wait a second, where the hell are you?
It's a great question.
Because I would guess no.
My first inclination is no. However, the first one that comes to mind is Bubba Andre.
That would make sense.
He's the first one that comes to mind. But I really can't tell you, oh, you know what? I fought a few Cubans.
Okay.
So to answer your question,
yeah.
I fought a few Cubans.
Yeah.
And they have a way of making you miss.
Yeah.
Was Ugas hard to hit?
No.
Yeah.
Ugas wanted me to fight.
At the fight.
They were side by side.
Yeah.
Ugas wanted me to fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was right there trying to, push me to come at him. But amateur wise, there were a couple of Cuban fighters that I had fought. I think there were 2 different Cubans that I fought. I think total I fought 3 amateurs. 3 different Cubans as amateurs. 0-3 against those guys. And then as a pro, I beat Ugas. But those other 3 guys were much slicker. Of course, boxing, everything was just different as an amateur, But they were slick. They were good.
Nice to see Ugas yesterday, too.
When you fight a guy like that, I've heard you got to let multiple punches go. You got to punch in combination because you're not going to get him with one shot. But like, what's the fine line as a fighter to do that when the more you open up, the more counter opportunities they get. You know, what do you do against a guy like that?
It's like, to me, it seems that when you're throwing combinations against a counterpuncher, number one, you have to have a really good sense of anticipation of what counter is going to come back. And beyond that, I think it's a matter of making sure the power doesn't come back. And a lot of counterpunchers don't really counterpunch with power. They counterpunch with speed, you know? And so a lot of times it's like you're getting hit, but you're not getting hit with anything that's going to really stop you. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, especially in a 12-round match, of course, we move Floyd Mayweather on a completely different side of it. But a lot more times than not, a combination puncher or an aggressive fighter can eventually catch up to the counterpuncher. It's you break the counterpuncher down. He doesn't have much power on his counterpunching, and kind of the list goes on. So, you know, if it was me and I had a guy in the ring and he was going against a counterpuncher, I would try a number of different things. I would try the combinations. I would try feigning him and making him be first. You know what I mean? A lot of counterpunchers don't really know how to, you know, throw the first punch, you know, so their rhythm is seeing something and coming back, you know, so kind of the list kind of goes on. But as I got older, I learned how to counter the counter, and that's when boxing becomes beautiful.
I saw, you know, even they came up short, but Cotto Castillo, Maidana a little. He didn't try to ever counter Floyd's counters. Jose Luis Castillo did, but yeah, that's kind of what those guys did to have the most success with Floyd. And when you mention when they're countering with speed, it's not enough to stop you. It's like, is that what they call you got to take one to land one sometimes?
Yeah,
don't give up your positioning as he's landing the shot and still.
Yeah. I think that from what I've seen, not Floyd, Freddie Roach was one of the guys that I've been up close to that kind of knew the science behind countering the counter. And even when eating the counter, which counters you can eat, which counters you need to make sure you make that fighter miss, you know. So I feel like he really has a craft of the offense of boxing. He really knows that really well.
You versus a very defensive fighter, I think, would have been a fun matchup just to kind of see the pressure and the chest match.
He would just don't throw it.
I hated it because it was
the mystery of chess boxing.
It requires patience for this. So you would think that the counterpuncher requires a lot of patience for him, but it actually requires a lot of patience from
you,
the aggressive fighter, because while you're releasing, he's creating space for his counters and continuing to move. And especially on the amateur level, I mean, it was create space, create space,
Yeah.
Those Cubans that I fought, it was like that, space, and that more than time. I think 2 out of the 3 Cubans that I lost to as an amateur, they created the space. I walked into it. Of course, I gave mine. The point system didn't help me; it helped them. You know, the list goes on. You know, so it requires a lot of patience if you are an aggressive fighter, because you have to be open-minded enough to see the counters that are coming, make those miss. You know, and then if you do get hit, you know what I mean, you got to keep your confidence up, and you know,
it's willing to being able to do something and knowing something is going to be coming back to you. It's like, I'm going to force the action, but there's a reaction coming back to you.
Yeah. In a crazy scenario, perfect fight, counter puncher, patient guy. If you wanted to throw it out there, you was going to fight Floyd. What was your plan back in the day? Or young Shawn.
Yeah, well, we talked about that.
Yeah, but you ain't got. If you don't want to say that, you ain't
no.
Unless the fight's coming, stay tuned.
You coming out of retirement for that fight?
The
Hey, you know, man, I don't want you to fight. But I'm about to push you. About to go get that.
This was way back in the day, like 2014, 2015, and we were out here at a Floyd fight, and they were announcing all of the young fighters coming up, and I'm in line with Keith. I think I had told you this story once before, where he just, especially
one of the greatest quotes of all time, in my opinion.
I asked Keith, I said, look, he's behind me. I'm going before him. And I look back, I said, so what's next for you? His response was, what they don't understand is I'm already ready to die. I said, what?
That was Ponytail Keith at his finest.
Yeah, right. I said, I wonder if he remembers that, you know what I mean, to validate this story. I said, so what's next for you? Just, the normal small talk. He said, what they don't know is I'm already ready to die. I said, what? So then I I didn't want to
distance yourself from that conversation.
I didn't want him to know that.
Energy.
I didn't want him to know that it perturbed me, that something went wrong, right? So I was like, okay. So I turned back, and my first thought was, should I be ready to die? My very first thought was, like, if he's there, like, I need to be there. You know what I mean? And I was like, I started the whole way until I was called. I was just really...
Your competition-wise, like...
I was meditating on what he said. And don't forget, like, I already knew that we was coming here, you know what I mean?
And
so I'm like...
This is at a press conference.
Yeah. Well, it was like the weigh-in show, and they were just announcing fights.
None of y'all fighting that night.
Nobody's fighting that night. No young fighter. Nobody between 25 and 28 was fighting. He said, "What they don't know is I'm already ready to die." And the whole time now I'm thinking, like, should I be ready to die? And I'm like, if he's ready to die, like, what's gonna happen when we fight? Like, all this is going through my mind.
Put some 94 Biggie on.
Yeah.
I'm ready to die.
But we had another conversation one time. He just like, man, if they bet not give me him. If they give him to me, I'm just gonna go out there and it's whoever go first. And I remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, that's kind of my game plan too. I'm gonna just go out there and throw it all at him and let it be what it is.
You're talking about Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, talking about Floyd, yeah. And
kind of the Maidana game plan.
Kind of, yeah. I think that was pre-Maidana.
A little more movement.
And then by the time Maidana happened, it was kind of like, okay,
Cotto just threw it.
He was a little more cerebral.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, you're right. He stayed on top of him.
Yeah.
A lot of the fight.
And it was like, everybody's like, well, shoot, if Maidana did that, you could do it too. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it, but I think you got to have more finesse. Because you saw what happens in the rematch.
Change speeds up.
Yeah. So when you see the rematch, it was kind of like, yeah, you need a little bit more.
Floyd would have counterpunched the shit out of both of them. Boom! Boom!
Me and Keith.
Both of y'all. The same night.
Man.
The same night. Hey, you my guy.
Hater.
You got to do a lot of take one to land one.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier.
To get one off.
Hey, but Shawn would have threw like 10.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd have been everywhere too. You know what I mean? I've been everywhere. Yeah. Trying to create something.
So what was your story?
I don't even think my story matters. I'll tell it at the end.
Okay,
yeah, no, I'll tell it at the end.
Because I was gonna say we saw Marcos last night. Marcos Maidana.
I saw him at the weigh-in.
Yeah,
looking fat and rich.
Yeah,
that's all I'm trying to be,
good.
baby.
Yeah, no.
He actually was a little smaller, still big, but a little smaller than he was 2 years ago.
Yeah, which is good.
You know?
And I denied walking up to say hello to him and shake his hand.
Why?
I ain't want nobody taking pictures talking about this is what's next. I was like, I went like one step his way.
It's here and here.
And I went one step his way. I was like, nah, man, you too smart for that. And I just got to stay where I was at.
My boy Ron was going to be on you.
Yeah.
My boy Ron with Fight Hype was.
I just threw up a little peace sign.
I was like, nah, I ain't getting into that one.
But do we want to start there? Do we want to start? Sometimes we go in sequential order with Catterall and Taylor, which was technically earlier in the day.
I like that word, sequential.
Never heard it in my life.
There's multiple words that could have used there, but
was a good one.
I'm not gonna lie, sequential might not even be the right word there.
If it's not, light his ass up.
Yeah,
chronological.
Chronological is the word I was.
Okay, well, they talking big boy.
Big word talk. Catterall and Taylor was. We said we didn't think he was gonna give Josh Taylor any trouble, so we clearly knew what we were talking about.
We was wrong.
Well, he did win.
Yeah, blew him out.
Yeah.
That was. I thought he lost.
Me too.
To start there.
He showed up with the left hand and he was on his ass all night.
Yeah, and Taylor not getting out of the way of the left hand, and it kind of does go back to what I mentioned, where Catterall is just he's not like that diverse of a puncher. Like it really is very straight line except for that left hand, and that was it. And Taylor just.
Well, before. Go ahead.
No,
before the fight, we were breaking it down. And I'm like, well, he's a 5'7" guy who likes to languish on the outside, which is what he did.
Yeah.
But I kind of assumed something was in Josh Taylor's toolkit that maybe didn't really have to be shown yet, because even though he's a tall guy and he has good speed, that doesn't mean he likes to fight at range. When he fought, come to think of it, when he fought Regis Prograis, they went toe-to-toe, mid-range, close range, a lot of the fight. Ivan Barancek comes right to you. Jose Ramirez comes right to you. So he had to go get this guy, and he had to cut the distance. And I assumed heading into the fight, that's in his bag. He's an all-around fighter. He's 5'10". He's got fast hands. he'll be fine if this guy tries to do that. But no, he got outboxed on the outside, and I definitely think Catterall won the fight. But that being said, the reality of the situation is body language really hurt him in this fight, like Jacobs against Ryder, another guy in another guy's hometown, where Taylor kept his body language more erect, and Catterall had moments where he looked fatigued, he breathed hard, and he fought exclusively off the back foot. And, you know, he would have 1 minute lulls of not throwing any punches. And Taylor couldn't get any effective work in, but he'd be busy and he'd stay on top of him. And when they'd be in clinches, he'd have one free hand and bang away with it and scratched and snipped. And when you put all that together in the other guy's hometown, you have to be cognizant. There's a good chance you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. And at the least, especially in that last round, even though he out-connected him 9-3.
Yeah, maybe put your foot on the gas a little bit.
You got to make that statement in that last round to the judges.
Watching the fight, and I kept thinking about myself, and it's like, while I'm listening to you, I'm like, damn, like, I didn't get the fight. I didn't get the win in my hometown, you know? So, but I was watching that fight and was like,
Russell Jordan in Cleveland.
Yeah, but I mean,
gotcha.
Here, you know what I'm saying?
He's a Vegas kid now.
I'm watching the fight. I'm watching the fight, and the whole time I kept thinking about my fight with Kell Brook. The entire fight, Taylor went at Catterall with the exact same game plan from round 1 to the end of the fight. He was lunging in with his jab. He was pumping his jab. This is not a sharp jab. This is I hope I touch you jab. He's lunging in. He's coming in too close. I mean, I saw so many.
And that's Taylor you're talking about.
Taylor.
Okay.
I saw so many errors. And at the same time, I'm seeing everything that I know he can do so much better. And it was like immediately I was like, yeah, this is just one of those nights. Yeah. Just like my night with Kell Brook. It just was a night where nothing clicked for me physically in the ring, and then mentally I didn't have any wherewithal to make adjustments. Yeah. I didn't think Taylor made any adjustments at all. You get knocked down in the fight. The referee was too he was too into everything that was going on.
Split a starring role there.
Yeah, he was the co-star in the fight.
No, he was the star.
Ended up being actually
top bill, and then also featured Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall.
Ended up being actually, you know what I mean? So while I was listening to the commentary afterwards, I agree with Tim Bradley. I'm not gonna give him a pass, you know. And then at the same time, I did agree with Andre Ward. You can't just write him off. Yes, you can take him out of the top 5 if you had him in the top 5. But as fighters, we know that these nights we never want people to see. Those nights, you saw plenty of those nights in my training camps. You never really saw those nights in my fights. Nope. You know what I mean? So that was training camp night that showed up. You know what I mean? It sucked.
It was just kind of an ugly fight overall. There was a good point yesterday in Chicken Talk. They were talking about Taylor is known for like the not dirty tactics, but like fighting on the inside, holding, throwing people around. And Catterall seemed like he was there for it, and he matched it to an extent. Yeah, which is kind of a thing. If you're always the bully, and somebody bullies you back, it's like, well, wait a second. I'm not used to this really.
And the analogy that I have for this is it's like being in a track race. And even though you're the fastest guy on the track, if you don't get out the blocks the quickest, there's a chance you may never catch up to every guy you've beat every single race this season. Yeah. And it just felt like that's what I was seeing out of Josh Taylor. He's more athletic than this Catterall guy. Seems we've seen in his past fights that he has more in his arsenal than he showed against Catterall. But from the opening gunshot, he wasn't able to get out of the blocks. And it's like he just could not catch up to anything that this guy Catterall he didn't pose anything that was complicated, not to our eyes. But when you can't catch up, you just can't catch up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It looked like Catterall wanted it more last night. That's how I noticed. But then at the same time, everybody have a bad night. Working at McDonald's, you messed up my order. You working at tire shop, hey man, you ain't tighten my lug nut. It's just little things. Yeah, it was a bad night for my guy last night. You've had a bad night. We all had a bad night in our jobs. I think it was a bad night.
What did you think about the point deduction, the last one?
The tapping it.
It was bad, but it was good that it happened because he shouldn't have deducted a point from Catterall.
So I guess it equaled out.
It bounced out, but I thought it was a little bit more of a sturdy shot than they acted like on the broadcast. They were like, "Oh yeah, he was just kind of playing around." I was like, "No, he really it was a stabbing shot to the midsection."
It was a sturdy shot, but I know that shot. It was the next. I see next round.
It wasn't like a backhand.
Carson, like, don't tap me like that.
It was like a very, I don't know.
It's rough play. I thought it.
I think what that proved yesterday, and Taylor afterwards seemed to indicate he's going to 147. It just doesn't seem to make sense at 40 anymore. I was never of the belief that he would test Terrence Crawford very much, and I'm still very much of that belief.
Who we giving him at? Mario Barrios.
You know a good one. A good one I heard was somebody mentioned Mean Machine.
Me?
At 47, he's a test.
Mean Machine still boxing?
He good for
Absolutely.
6 rounds,
He good for yeah.
But if you're gonna adjust, if you want to adjust to get 147, you get a guy in there that's gonna test you. He's a physically strong guy. You'll probably knock him out at some point. It's hard to say, but
some people said Kell Brook. I don't want to see that. Don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Taylor will be good at 147, but I think based on the people that are there now and based on where he's at right now, I don't think he's like immediately a title favorite or contender in my opinion.
I've seen him so much sharper than he was.
Of course, yeah.
And it's hard to
now. I was gonna say, I'm trying to factor in the whole body of work, not just yesterday.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think he beats Errol. I don't think he beats Bud. I don't even think he beats Ugas.
Yeah, I still don't think he touched the top 3.
Yeah.
Oh, and then don't forget, Styles make fights.
He probably can't even F with Keith Thurman.
Don't forget, Styles make fights. So while you got a guy that's fighting off his back foot, not committing to anything,
hold on.
Not giving you any show, not giving you any shows to what he's gonna do. You know how that is. It's like that dude didn't help.
No.
Not that he's supposed to help, but his style. Which while we're looking at it, like, dude wasn't that fast. He wasn't making any like feints.
Good timing.
He wasn't juggling. What was he doing? What's his style? His style is just something that when you're looking at it, it makes you second guess what you can do and what you want to do. And
imagine Errol's jab at Josh Taylor's face when he's trying to come in. My God.
But that was last night, Josh Taylor.
I think any Josh Taylor. You could add a few Josh Taylors together in the past, and I think Errol fires that jab in his face 1 through 12.
Should Josh Taylor just keep trying to make 140?
I'm still cool with the Crawford fight because what we talked about a week ago, I don't think size is an issue.
Yeah, just
so
talent.
who's the better fighter? You know? So that's why I'm still okay with that fight.
And I don't hate any of those fights. I just don't think he wins.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's not favoring that.
But no, I don't think. I think you're sacrificing your career if you stay at 140. I think you're just going to keep. You're draining yourself. You're not. You could have more fights like this, where it's like
don't be the Kell Brook of 147 though. Get your ass up there.
Is there any thought then though? If you like the Mean Machine fight, moving up to 47, is it like, well, you had a big scare against Jack Catterall. You might as well just take the fight again in the #1 fight, the big fight, because you get upset in a preliminary fight. So
sure.
And maybe maybe you need a Terrence Crawford to get that fear in you in camp to bring 100% out of him. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think based on what we saw tonight, there's no one that would pick him against Terrence Crawford.
No,
but
and he's still. I mean. Again, like Sean said, it's
but he's better than that.
Yeah, not to think about yesterday, but he's still like a top 10 pound for pound fighter. It's just had a bad day, thought he lost, got the win. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and he was out of there.
What about Josh Taylor versus Danny Garcia?
I'm okay with that fight.
I think that's probably the best one.
Trying to get this guy back on the top.
DSG, DSGofficial.com.
I don't rock with. I ain't rock with him. Tell me my man's suit.
It's too bad they're gym mates.
I was thinking Mikey. You said Danny.
Who are you thinking?
Shut up, man. Chill out, bro. The back door. I got you.
Right.
He can't get the tires from Taylor.
It's too bad that him and Devin Haney share Ben Davison, because if Haney is going to not be able to land this Kambosos fight and Kambosos winds up with Lomachenko or someone else and Haney he's a big lightweight, it kind of sucks that Haney they can't make that fight happen if Josh is going to stick around at 140. But
yeah, if he were to stick at 140.
If he's going to stick around at 140. But I think he said afterwards this is probably his last fight there.
I think that just makes the most sense. But last night at the Cosmo, at the Chelsea at the Cosmo, the Porterway podcast, represented.
Boston.
You got something first?
We Boston?
Boston.
You was with us.
I know. That's why I wanted. Yeah. I saw how you guys were Boston, and I go, I kind of want to be a part of this for a minute here.
Producer was there. He held it down.
Yeah. Got the shot.
Yeah, got the shot.
Yeah,
everybody gave him credit for the shot.
Why you get the selfie?
Sean, nice feet touch just
He
now.
stops everything he's doing to find that.
I know.
It's
It's
necessary.
silly. Hey, man, I want to give a shout out to PBC, Showtime Sports, AH. That was a hell of a card last night.
Yeah.
You guys put together a hell of a card. And,
Absolutely.
we've been getting let down a lot lately.
Yeah.
I said that it was an eventful night
Yeah.
for those. Those aren't the biggest names in boxing,
No.
but like it was an eventful night.
And as I mentioned beforehand and was kind of reminded of it yesterday, really nice venue. I really don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We
Small.
mentioned yesterday, you're not going to get a ton of the gate because it's not a very big venue, but really not a bad seat.
Right.
Really not a bad seat. Everyone's enjoying themselves. And
Concessions was pretty whack on selection, but we made it right.
Ant was a hero. I will give Ant a concession shout out. He asked if I wanted anything. He forgot, and he went back. I think he missed about 7 rounds.
That's all right. That's all right. If I told you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Just take care of his friend. But
I get frustrated with all the networks, but Showtime usually does.
you gotta say, I haven't asked to pick.
No, I do. I mean, it's the business. It's the business of boxing these days.
Help put HBO out of business. Go ahead.
I love HBO, man. I miss HBO, but Showtime consistently delivers probably the best triple headers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job. So credit to Showtime, man. Their production's on point, and they've been doing it. They are HBO right now.
Yep.
HBO's gone, so they are they're the ones still carrying that premium cable quality broadcast. So yeah, shout out. They did their thing. They usually do.
Opening fight, we had Jerwin Ancajas, one of the longest reigning champs in the game.
Yeah, that was a great fight. Stick to the body work, man. I think he gave away from the body work
Martinez
mid
threw
fight.
over 1,000 punches.
Wow.
I saw landed over 40% and landed over 50% of his power shots.
Thought he was going based off of how you felt.
No, it felt like 100% of his power shots.
No, I meant like it felt like he threw 1,000 punches, but he literally threw 1,000. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And before we get to this fight, before the fight, big moment for the podcast.
Oh yeah, you missed that.
Sean Gibbons met Carson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah.
I'll tell the story accurately.
He's a big guy.
He's a very tall, very tall guy.
Oh, he ain't shook. He's a very tall guy. Whatever.
When his son also a very tall guy. But so Sean, and it says hello.
If he got
shakes
out of
his
line,
hand.
I was in the cut. I would have slept him if he got out of line.
Right, right. You do got big hands.
And then Sean clearly, gestures to me to also introduce it, and so I shook his hand. I didn't say anything, and then I sit back down and I said, "By the way, Rigondeaux beat Casemiro." I kind of just fired it in like under my breath.
He caught it and let it go.
Because to be fair, it's before his fighters fighting, so I don't want to be like, "Hey, give me 5 minutes of your time to explain what cutting off the ring does for ring generalship." But that was a big moment. But then, Ancajas, the body work was great early but he got hit with everything.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't keep up with the pace, and
he hurt.
Kid got underneath him, got on the inside.
He hurt the guy one time. Big shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And I know there's a rematch clause, I believe I read somewhere, and don't really care to see much of a rematch.
I'm down.
It was a fun fight.
I'm down for a rematch,
like,
Carson.
I guess for the grand scheme of like the division, I don't think Ancajas beats him. I think it's going to be very similar. I don't think he's got the engine right now to do that.
I do think he got blitzed a little bit.
Yeah.
He got a little caught off guard. This kid got on the inside and could thump. He didn't know he was going to be in there with that. And you guys saw, he kept looking for the distance. And that body shot you liked, he landed a couple of beautiful right hooks to the body. You could hear the thud in the arena. He's a puncher, but all night he got put on his heels from round one and he kept looking for the distance and didn't know if he wanted to box. And then eventually these guys, they force you to fight their fight because they're hitting you and they're starting to pile up punches, and you're like, okay, I got to start fighting and getting this guy back because while I'm trying to box, he's fucking me up. And, so he kind of, I would like to see a rematch. I'm down.
Yeah, I guess there's worse rematches to have for sure.
Right.
And they combine for like 1,800 punches or something. But no, it was a fun fight. Ancajas, just the defense just wasn't there. He was getting caught clean just too many times. But Martinez didn't have, thankfully for Ancajas, he didn't have like a ton of thump, because if he had some serious power, he would have been hand down, man down. But
what you think?
Well, I like the Martinez kid. I remember you said you picked him to win before the fight started. Then I picked him to win, and then I chose the champion to defend.
Well,
I reneged, and I said I reneged. I said, Ancajas has all this experience. I said, this kid's gonna slow down. He was getting to the body in the first 2 rounds. I said, even though he lost the first round, he hit the body more in the second round. I said he's gonna slow this kid down and then he'll take over. The kid never slowed down. One fact that I believe, this is not a true fact, but what I believe at the lower weights, they don't slow down. I believe that they have the engines that they have. Their muscular build doesn't slow them down or force them to fatigue or anything like that. I do know a little something. Okay. So I think that's why they don't slow down. I
like you preface this with this. This isn't a real fact, and then said, I know something.
Because I started realizing, like, no, you're right.
You're right.
This is fact.
Yeah. So that's why they throw 1,000 punches, and they don't look new at the end of the fight, but they look very strong at the end of the fight. But this kid maintained his conditioning, maintained his level of intensity and his work rate. And Ancajas ends up being the one in the last 2 rounds really retreating and trying to stay alive in there. And so I really wasn't impressed with either guy, but at the same time, I was impressed with the heart of this kid, the Martinez kid, and I was impressed with how he went for it. Just talking to our man Mainland, he said, at the end of the day, true fight fans want to see the heart. If we can see your heart, we know that you are a real fighter. That's what makes a real fighter, So seeing the kid's heart last night, Martinez, he won me over.
If he's from Argentina and his last name begins with an M, Monzon, Maravilla, Martinez, Maidana, Matisse.
Yeah.
You might just want to be like, okay, in the dressing room, like, let's really
get
this mid work in before
What's his last name?
Tighten up the defense.
It's Montiel, and he's from Argentina. Oh, okay, well, yeah.
I think.
Can you give me one with an R at the end?
Yeah.
Give me an R.
I think Ancajas was gonna fight maybe Ioka in a unification, which would have been an unbelievable fight. So that's why I guess that's where my root of not wanting a rematch is. I think if
I knew it was,
and then it kind of delays it. Ioka's not a super young guy anymore either.
Actually, it's funny because Daisuke Segura was next to me. He's like one of the top boxing guys in Japan. Yeah, and that's what he was. He was like, oh, well, there goes that huge fight I was going to get to cover in Japan, unification.
Yeah, right? I thought it would have been a good fight, but co-main, Gary Antuanne Russell.
Not a good fight.
Absolutely.
Oh, he was rolling last night.
Yeah.
During that Martinez and Ancajas fight, we were like, it's a good fight.
Yeah.
Good fight. And he did the same thing with this one. He's like, this is a good fight.
Some people echoed a sentiment we shared yesterday that Gary Antuanne reminds him of Shawn Porter a little bit.
Yeah. I got the text from shout out to Mark Ortega. Yeah. He texted me while I'm thinking it. Yeah. He's like, yo, he kind of looks like you. I was like, damn, I was just thinking.
And I'm driving home and Chicken Talk, God love those guys. They're on until like 3 a.m. Eastern time. And they brought the same comparison. They were like, kind of a little bit of a Shawn Porter flavor to him. Yeah. But
he did what we talked about with Mike, using the double jab just to get where he wants to get for his offense. Like he wasn't using it to land it. Shawn, when he would double jab, he would do it to land it, but he was using it to get in range.
Shit, he took some shots.
What's impressive actually is this may not have actually been the best style for him to look impressive against.
No,
I made the point yesterday. I think Gary Antuanne, his best range is mid.
Right.
I think he's like DeMar DeRozan, thrives in the mid-range. And it was tough because Viktor Postol, I've never seen Viktor Postol in person. He's a lot taller than I thought and has long-ass arms.
And fights
tall. And so Gary Antuanne, it was like, he's good on the long outside, clearly. He's fast hands, jab, all
moves
that.
His head.
And good on the inside, but it's like, I think in the mid-range, and that's kind of negated when you're going against somebody who can kind of keep you out with those long arms. But
he made adjustments, though.
Absolutely.
He took what... Great job by Gary Antuanne. He took what was there early. Okay, all you're giving me is the body? Boom, to the body. Boom, to the body. Boom, and he's patient. Then round 4 and 5, he started to pick it up. And then he started leading with the left hand, getting his head off the line. And then once he made Postol do more of what he wanted to do, that's when you really got to see him score right hooks up top and left hands up top. So put him in against a guy who's not 5'11" and fights like he's 6 feet, he could look even better.
Absolutely.
We would go to the Showtime fights. My dad and I, we would sit they would sit us next to Lou DeBella and shout out to Steven Espinoza, all those guys. And we weren't doing it because we knew they were listening, but we would just be talking during the fight and they'd always lean in. And I didn't really figure it out until Lou's doing something. He says, you know, you got to sit next to the Porters during the fight. Their commentary during the fight is just like you get the fight and you get to listen to what they're commentating the whole fight. And I never really did it for that, but sitting right next to the Gary corner was like you got it all. Yeah. So you talking about the adjustments. Like we're hearing the adjustments in between rounds, and then they're yelling the adjustments during the fight. I mean, like there's soldiers, man. Like
boxing IQ.
Yeah,
that corner is.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times corners are hyped up. They're just even killed. It wasn't like get out of there.
And there was literally a moment where Gary Jr. is saying something, and then Gary Antuanne Russell, who's behind him, he says something, and Gary Jr. literally turned around and goes, "Good call." It was like, yeah, do that.
Right.
And it was like there was no egos. They were just trying to get him the best information.
That's close.
One time I heard Gary did something, and then you heard one of them on the outside. What you supposed to do right there? What you supposed to do right there? I'm like, that's game plan. So he knows what he's supposed to do. I don't need to tell you this adjustment. All I need to make sure you're aware that you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So you're right. Like even kill the whole night. They weren't too hyped up. They weren't not giving him information. He's gonna go a long way because of his corner. He's gonna go a long way because of who he is. He's a Russell. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable athlete. Great to see OG Gary as well in the corner.
Yeah.
Nice to see him out there, and he's obviously offering his instructions as well.
My man need to move his head.
Yeah.
So while I'm watching me, like this was a Shawn Porter weekend. Even though I'm like, he's kind of like looks like me.
Yeah.
He's got to move his head coming in. I like to see more of a jab to land more than just the jab to blind you to get in. I would like to see more of a good straight jab with direction to land. I think that if he even gets the jab that he can land from the outside, it sets up more stuff.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to step every time you punch to get inside to land your shots. Now you can land your shots from the outside. You can step around. You cause more dimensions to the fight. Force your fighter to do some different things. You know what I mean? So I talked to Gary this morning hoping that they were going to come on the show today, and they were at the airport. But he said, you know, man, we got some things to work on. I said, absolutely. I said, well, no reason to do it if you got nothing to work on. Yeah. He said, see, yeah, you get it. I said, well, absolutely, I get it. I said, you know, the head movement and some other things, but he's coming along. And he said, yeah, we going back to the gym. You know, we perfectionists. Yeah. You know, so we going back to the gym to work on it. You know, so
nothing Gary Antuanne Russell can't do in the ring.
How y'all feel about the stoppage?
Yeah, that had to be.
We had one jackass.
Oh yeah, those are two things I had.
One jackass didn't like it. One of the biggest jackass in boxing, but we ain't gonna put his name out there.
I mean, I get the sense that
you're not talking about me.
No, he's not talking about me.
I didn't agree with it.
Just relax.
Okay, two jackass.
Yeah, two jackass.
I might be the third. I might be because
y'all the jackass.
All right. No. There's about 45 seconds left in the fight. If it meant something to Postol to stay on his feet, and that he's never been stopped. Yeah. If that you know. That sucks for Postol because he may have been on the verge of being dropped, but I think he could have made it the final 40, 45 seconds. But then there's also the side of the fight's done. He's not going to land a one-punch knockout shot.
He was taking ass whooping that
in that round, right?
And he got hurt bad earlier in that
Carson
round.
said he got knocked from one side of the ring to the other. That's before the big shot.
Yeah, that tripped me out.
He got hit and he started to circle the ring, and Gary Antuanne was like, oh, no. You're not getting away from me, and kind of like
my man
all the way.
And that was before the big shot.
My man closed the distance, and he kept.
Yeah,
I said, "Yo, he just."
Yeah, it was like a cartoon. Like Viktor Postol took off, and Gary.
But we've
was
seen him hurt like that against Terrence Crawford, dropped twice.
Yeah,
and that was in the 5th or 6th round of their fight. He made it to the finish line. Yeah. So, you know, and I think the thinking of some viewers is, was that at all about getting this guy to be the first guy to stop Viktor Postol? But I mean, whatever, you know, good.
Yeah, it is what it is. Good thing for Gary Antuanne is, if we mentioned earlier, Josh Taylor, if he goes to 147, there's going to be all the belts. Could very well be available, which is nice for a guy like you mentioned, the two guys that are the future of the division, Brandon Lee, Gary Antuanne Russell. I mean, Jose Ramirez fights next week. I'm sure he would have an interest in a 140-pound title again, but
Oh, y'all like to see him fight next? Oh, you got
Gary
some say.
Antuanne?
You got like.
Nope. I thought that the stoppage was premature.
Okay.
Like you said, in a lot of ways it made sense, but at the same time it was kind of like that's Viktor Postol. Like
the ref should know who he's in there with.
Well, I just think from the standpoint of how much was left in the round, the very last round of the fight, and there wasn't anything devastating happening. And I'm not the kind of guy that's like, you got to get knocked down for the fight to be stopped. But at the same time, I need to feel like you're helpless. I didn't see that he was helpless.
That uppercut was deadly though. That took his head back.
Yeah, I didn't see that he was helpless, and I didn't see that Gary was landing anything that was devastating. So I just and we're on the outside. We can see the clock clearly. So on the inside, in the heat of the battle, the ref felt it was.
You still love that football made me smile. I forgot it was there. Then all of a sudden, oh my!
You should have done that at the end of the show.
Yeah,
like touchdown. Yeah.
No, we'll see. I don't know what they'll. I mean, there's matchups at 140. I mean,
shout out to Viktor Postol.
Of course,
yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Did he leave his family back? His two daughters?
They were, I think, hunkered down in a bunker somewhere as of his presser. Wow. And he's headed right back out there to go
clearly
get his family.
Things much bigger than boxing, so hopefully everyone involved from that side. But
blessings to his family and whole Ukraine, man.
Yeah.
It's tough times. People really going through stuff in the world, man.
Also seeing the way Gary spoke after the fight, I thought that was really impressive as well.
Before and after how he treated Postol.
Yeah, I'm grown being at other camps with the Gary that I grew up with. Yeah. I don't know them apart. They're Gary 1, 2, 3, and it goes on. But growing up with him, he was more mature than me. He was more mature than 80%, 90% of the guys that were on the teams that we fought on at the tournaments. He was very mature, and this Gary showed to be very mature after the fight as well. And no surprise, knowing where he comes from. I'm sitting there just listening to him like,
same guy,
professional, you know what I mean? Solid team.
Raised some great young men for sure. The whole Russell crew.
People have said my dad and I are the greatest, or will be the greatest father and son team in boxing. And
good though. You Floyd Mayweather.
I was thinking the same
I'm like, Mayweather's y'all not even close to Mayweather. But y'all was solid.
Hey, listen, we were solid, and at the same time, there's never been friction publicly between my dad and I. And I think a lot of people are taking that into account when they're saying, father and sons don't work. Yeah. And then you can always look at Shawn Porter and Kenny Porter and say, well, they made it work.
He was your trainer from start to finish. Yeah. Floyd had Roger for a spell. Shane Mosley left Jack Mosley at some point. Roy Jones left.
We're the greatest. Don't worry about it.
You're the greatest father-son Porter duo.
Don't matter. This is the greatest family. And
of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
We haven't seen this many, especially brothers, come along and do it. We've seen the son do it after the father, or
an uncle and the son.
Brothers.
They got
two brothers.
Everything it takes to be great together.
Absolutely.
They really do.
On the road to greatness, they have a team, a solid team.
I'm telling you, you're not talking them up by saying that. Yeah. Like they really do have it all.
It's cool to witness up close last night.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, main event went exactly like we all thought.
Absolutely, right?
Easy.
Yeah.
Well, everybody was on Garcia.
I don't even know how to react to that, what we witnessed there, because it wasn't like that wasn't an upset win, like a big knockout or like a upset win by a round. Like
timing beat speed for one.
Hard work. I don't
know what the hell happened. So early on.
Shout out to my man Mike back home.
Okay.
Chris, or back in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Chris fought a grown man and was handled as such.
Oh man.
I said laugh out loud, damn.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That
left hand.
Yeah, that is a laugh out loud damn moment. Yeah, so my early thoughts were,
he said it's true. Step to a man and you get dealt like
you
dealt with like one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I read that, I was like, that sums it up.
Yeah, he was my only thoughts early were, for Chris Colbert, I don't know why you're sitting there and exchanging. It just didn't really make any sense. Like stylistically, or you don't want to give, and you made a good point, but my thought was you're fighting somebody who short notice, underdog, clearly.
I try to justify it.
Yeah, but like, why would you give him confidence? Because then he's like, oh, you're just going to stand here? I'm going to wail on you all night.
Yeah.
And you said, well, maybe he's kind of luring him in, getting him confident for opening up for
that's
counterpunch.
that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. But then
what the hell?
He didn't. And it was like a floodgate, like the whole fight. That guy just kept coming forward.
And I felt like when he went down a couple rounds, he's like, I'm going to just rumble with you.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah. That's what I thought happened.
I'm really big on psychology. I know people. I know what they're thinking before they say it. Kind of the list goes on. A lot of times you may not say something, but I know what's going on.
Yeah.
I got a feeling. You know how I always talk about guys falling in love with their power, and you need to put guys in front of them that can challenge them.
Yeah.
You don't want a fighter to go X amount of fights, knock out first round, and then when the first guy that challenged him, he folds under that challenge because he's never been through it.
Yeah.
You fall in love with your power. I think Chris has fallen in love with being able to have his way and get his way with whoever it is he's been in the ring with. Even in moments where we're like, yo, he should be boxing and moving more. He decides to sit down, wear shots, and dig in, and he starts to have his way with those guys. I think he came to the ring with the mindset that he was gonna have his way no matter what, and it didn't go that way, and he had nothing else to go to.
Come to think of it, just as you were saying, it reminds me a lot now of Gabe Flores Jr. His performance he had last summer, where you're not a puncher, you're fast. That's what jumps off the page about Gabe Flores and Chris. You got fast hands, but we're starting to feel like the power's coming along. And it was, despite the low KO, it was like they fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And we're looking to, you saw him a few times try to load up on a check hook as this guy came in. And it was like, you have all this speed and great legs. Box, find the answers, find the adjustments, the solutions in there with your speed, but the timing and accuracy were off. And
good pop clearly on his shots. Hector Luis Garcia, good pop.
Yeah.
I mean, he was undefeated. So I mean, it's all
3 no contest. That's my type of guy.
I don't know what
that was my type of guy.
I don't know what the hell happened in those fights, but and it's funny when we're watching the fight. I go back to what I said last episode when I watched your interview with him when the fight got announced. I was like, he looked like he was locked in, and he looked strong. At the weigh-in, he didn't look like...
It was the weirdest thing at the weigh-in.
Yeah,
at the weigh-in,
I looked sturdy.
I looked up there and I said, oh, they
the 0-pack.
I said, oh, they didn't bring anybody in here for Chris Colbert. I let it go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been coming to enjoy the fights, enjoy the night, be a part of the Porterway podcast and things of that nature. And then this dude comes in the ring and he's strong.
Yeah.
He really was a grown man. He was locked in. What they're doing over there, Salas and them, it's proven to be.
And you and your dad always loved him.
Yeah, it's proving to be. Well, I can speak definitely myself. I don't know about my dad.
My bad.
Well, I don't know about my dad.
Seems like it.
Yeah. But it's proven to be a real product over there. And when you go over there, you kind of become something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he did. And obviously, Ugas mentioned he was rooting for him as we're watching. And he just looked game for the fight. Like, it was like, he was like, he didn't step in there as a replacement fighter. He was like, you want to fight me? Like, really? It
seemed like in that 7th round when he hit him in that counter left, Chris Colbert didn't want to fight no more. He was like, I'm done. It's like when it was just like, let me just get out of here.
Yeah, and I didn't understand it. And I sometimes disagree with Jim Gray's questions, but I enjoyed Jim Gray asking him after the fight, like, you were showboating in the last 2 rounds. Like, what were you doing? Why, like, you were losing? And he just said, I wasn't really feeling like myself. I had an off night.
And the going into the corner thing, that killed me.
Oh, when he didn't sit down?
He was just going to the corner. No.
Oh, you're talking about
during the fight.
Oh, yeah,
He was just going in the corner like, what are you, Muhammad Ali?
I just looked at that as he's just not making adjustments and finding answers. So I'll just lay here and come in range.
Yeah.
He's a natural counterpuncher.
Right.
Like by trade, and that is who he is. And so when the guy took away his ability to counterpunch by blocking, and the accuracy is off and all that kind of stuff, and then he tried to go back to the outside and counter this guy, and that guy didn't give him any counters, and it just took away everything that Chris has. His next recourse was to go back to the inside and just wear the shots and hoping that he'd find the opening. That didn't happen. And then after that, it was, let me go back to the ropes and just try it here. He had no answers for this guy, and it's because his who he is was not gonna be it
And I had to I had to tell myself at some point early, I was saying, really looks like all those hooks are landing. And then I was like, no way. Chris is very slick.
I was ignoring y'all and everything. Like, I hear y'all.
He's a very slick fighter. Like, he's good defensively. There's no way these are landing as clean as they are. And then, like, a few rounds in, I was like, no, they really are. Like, he just, And I think while a lot of the focus obviously will be on Chris Colbert, who's the household name, he's the headliner, he's the favorite, he's the guy we talked about leading into the fight. I think Hector Luis Garcia deserves a lot of credit because I don't think this was just a bad night for Chris Colbert. I think he really fought his ass off.
And I think that style is a problem for Chris.
I was going to say, the question is like, who wins a rematch?
I don't know if Chris can. I think this might be a Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder situation where he cannot get over this hump.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if a rematch.
I don't see nothing the way he could get him.
I think if you tell me, I think if he goes to the outside and he boxes this guy, uses his feet
from the start,
this guy is not. Yeah, this guy he's not. He doesn't have. You know what I mean? The quick
Anthony
feet.
Joshua, Andy Ruiz, second fight.
He doesn't have the quick feet and all that kind of stuff. You know, I think he's gonna have to box this guy, force this guy to come in, and then the counter punching works the way you set it up. He never set it up to counter punching, and then the guy had too much speed and power on the back end of his shot, so that he couldn't counter this guy. I think that a rematch, if Chris fights the right way, I think he could beat this dude.
I don't know,
but this dude,
I still gotta go with Hector. Man, I still gotta go with Hector.
I'm sure the rematch happens.
Yeah,
I feel like Hector's gonna go and fight.
Shit, worse gonna worse.
Hey, my man say, yo, we gonna do this post fight together, and we gonna campaign this
rematch because it's a rematch coming soon. I think Hector goes on and fights Gutierrez, whether he beats Roger Gutierrez or not. And, tough to tell.
What you think Chris drops back down, starts over?
This starts over might be a bit harsh, but I know what you're saying. But
get a W.
Yeah, get a W, get back in there. Chris is a confident guy. Even after the loss, he was obviously.
If I'm Chris, I hope he fights the other guy. The guy beats him,
and then you get the rematch.
You get him out of there. That's a bad style.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where you see.
I think the only way that happens, sorry to cut you off, but that guy's got to get knocked out by Gutierrez. Because if he loses to Gutierrez, now they're saying, hey, one of you guys got a rematch to fight him, or Gutierrez is just moving forward.
Yeah.
I think that is, from the boxing that we know, that's usually ends up being how the business goes.
Yeah, I think he's just got to get back to being himself. Like I said, after the fight, obviously he's upset, but he's a confident kid. I don't think this is gonna shatter Chris Colbert's world. He's never going to recover. I think
one thing he's got
back to what you're doing
to speak in his face. He's definitely got fast hands.
Oh, of course,
They just weren't accurate and on the mark, but still blazing hand speed ringside. So he's got tools. To take forward, and he's from Brooklyn.
Never really know that kind of like what I took from tonight is especially with Chris Colbert and with Josh Taylor. You just never really know what the guy is looking at, what he's seeing. What prevented Chris Colbert from using his jab from the outside and then stepping around and just continuing to work until something developed, and then what stopped, what forced Josh Taylor to feel like he had to force himself on Catterall the entire night, I can raise my hand and say that it could have been being at home. There's a different type of energy with at home, and you put an expectation on yourself, even if other people aren't. So.
Well, I was gonna say you actually might be. Well, you're definitely the most qualified at the table, but you may be the most qualified based on the Kell Brook fight. You mentioned it earlier as a parallel. I think it's a very good parallel.
Yeah.
It wasn't working. Chris Colbert's strategy wasn't working. Josh Taylor's strategy wasn't working. Your strategy wasn't working. None of the three of you changed it. Josh Taylor gets a decision, but what I guess from your perspective in that fight, what were you thinking? If you're talking about mentality.
What I did not think. That the funniest thing. There you go. That's the answer to your question. Yeah. And like I told you guys before, like it didn't take me long. I think before I got home, I realized I wasn't thinking. Yeah. I didn't make any adjustments. I did the same thing all night. That wasn't me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really does. It was like, for me, it was like a conscious decision I made. I swore to myself, I will never go into the ring and fight one way for an entire fight. I will never, ever do that again. And I believe that I stood on that until I retired. And it was a learning lesson for me. And you never want to take an L and have to learn, but that kind of was what it ended up being for me. But I do. I think that in Josh Taylor's, I think for Josh Taylor, it's just a matter of him understanding, like, hey, calm down. Doesn't matter where you're fighting. Doesn't matter who's watching. Work accordingly and make those adjustments. Again, Catterall fought his best fight, which to the eye isn't that appealing, but it was enough to force Josh Taylor to either not see something or ignore whatever it was that he was seeing. And then for Chris Colbert, I really do think that the adjustment for him is simple. It's about him being him. And him is not fighting on the inside. Him is not wearing shots.
Also, him stop being so damn stubborn.
Yeah.
Except that, like when my man got hurt, like you still want to stand up just to show you tough.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down. Your legs. He did not have his. I don't even think he sat down after the 7th.
He did not sit down the round that he got knocked down.
He literally stood up and never had his legs. The whole that little stuff right there. I mean, it's maturity. He'll learn it. But hopefully you do like what Shawn did. You learn from this loss, and then you got the talent. He has everything it takes to still be great.
Absolutely.
And he's still a problem.
Yeah. And then to close today, actually, we had some boxing on DAZN. Lawrence Okolie defended his title in
Lawrence Okolie.
Probably one of the uglier fights I've seen. Like if you thought that fight yesterday with Taylor and Catterall was ugly with the holding, this was quite a special occurrence. But Okolie wins. He's still he's still kind of newish to the game, but he's a champ.
Big right hand.
Big right hand. Not really a ton outside of that. Who was the wait now?
Almost died there.
Yeah. Who was the? I'm going to quiz you, Mr. Olympic coverage this year.
Don't ask me.
Who was the British flyweight gold champion this year? Do you remember?
Was it the brother?
Yes.
What's his name?
I think is it Galal?
Galahad? No,
not Galahad. Actually,
not Galahad.
It's the five.
It is.
Yeah,
five.
Yeah. So he made his debut today.
Oh, okay.
And they said he's going to be one that there's the guy that somebody to watch.
Yeah.
But he made his debut. We saw a guy get DDT'd. I sent you guys that.
Who did your favorite DDT in wrestling, by the way?
I like Sting versus Scorpion Death Drop.
I respect it.
What?
I'd probably lean
I was
that
a real
way.
wrestling fan.
Straight
I would
up.
go. I was a Sting fan.
Changed.
What was yours, Shawn? What you got?
I was the Rock. The Rock was like mine.
Never had
Who was your favorite?
It's the Rock.
It doesn't matter who your favorite.
You guys are whack. He was.
I know that was coming.
Once Shawn answered,
He said,
The Rock had a little stutter to his DDT.
Boom.
Yeah.
Was it The Rock that used to overreact when he used to get Stone Cold stunned?
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that,
He would get up and go.
If you haven't watched that, YouTube it because it's hilarious.
I seen that fool stand up for a minute and then fall
back down. But Lawrence Okolie gets the win. And next weekend, the return of the legend.
What a fight.
Chocolatito.
Okay, what you doing? What you doing that weekend? What you doing?
And they're gonna make Martinez.
I didn't even know what he was talking about. So what's happening next?
They're gonna make Martinez and Ancajas look like it was a good, decent little fight.
I promise you, while I was watching that fight, I was like, they talk about levels. There's a level up beyond this, and this is like pretty damn good.
Right.
You know?
Chocolatito Martinez is going to be a
greatest super flyweight of all time. Book it.
Oh.
I'm excited. I hope. Shawn and I allegedly might be there, but no, I'm excited.
I'll be up the street. I'll be in LA if you see me in LA.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be in San Diego all week actually.
Oh, there you go.
Because Canelo's announcing the Bivol fight Wednesday in San Diego.
No, that's already announced. That's
not announced.
I say you about to get fired.
Press conference.
So I'm extremely excited to see Chocolatito. And then I mentioned Jose Ramirez fights Jose Pedraza in Fresno on Friday night, which is nice. We like when they stagger it. Some boxing Friday.
You should shoot up to Fresno and then shoot down San Diego.
I thought about it's very far away. It is extremely far away.
But even on the plane?
No, I do not think it's far on the plane. But one thing I told you, I have a bold prediction. Bivol Canelo. Bivol beats him.
Oh.
Throw that out there.
I'm going
with it.
He won't beat him, but I'm going Canelo 7-5.
He beats him. Bivol gets him.
Stops him?
No, he doesn't stop him. I'm not sure if Canelo can be stopped.
I think the body attack's going to be a big thing for Canelo in that fight because them Eastern European Russian school, they taught up here, great distance control. He actually has a left hook.
Yep.
But like Postol last night, you know, that 1-2, 1-2, and very good up top, but they don't go to the body a lot over there, right, Shawn? You fought a lot. So I just think Canelo, at some point, he's going to start getting underneath to that body. You know, and so
I heard that was kind of like the separation for Bivol, though I haven't watched much of him, but I heard the separation for him is he does go to the body a little more than a lot of
actually he does. You're right.
Russian fighters do. And then beyond that,
you good?
Call his trainer.
Bivol's trainer?
He's talking about what's his name.
I mean, he's strong, technically sound, good jab.
Yeah.
Legit light heavyweight, good power in both hands. So it's not crazy.
Canelo didn't look great when he fought Kovalev 175. I know you mentioned he's built back up to the weight to stay at.
Don't start that shit. You started that with Caleb and all them, and Caleb got pop.
I never once picked Caleb. Doing
No.
You
said that style.
Oh yeah, no, but he's not.
You think
Caleb's
that's tougher than Floyd? Like the challenge of this fight?
Where they're at in their careers, no. I just think young Canelo against Floyd, he just had nothing for him. But circumstantially, he's a big 175-pound fighter, and he is strong. He is very technical. I think he gets him.
I just think Canelo's right now. He's at the stage where Mayweather was at, though, where he's fighting top fighters around the world, but they're just going to be another name on the record when it's all said and done.
I'll stand on it.
All right, y'all about to hype me up.
But about Chocolatito,
watch from Bivol footage.
8 round knockout, Canelo Alvarez.
I'm not dismissing Bivol.
You don't know.
Yeah.
What?
You don't know anything.
Anything?
That shit. That never stopped me before.
Don't let them.
That don't stop me before.
What were you saying about?
Yeah.
I heard Zytel mention Chocolatito, so go back to it.
Just why you do Ant like that, man?
Ant did himself like that.
I know. It's all on me.
Go ahead.
Because he just out of nowhere, 8 round knockout Canelo.
He's bold.
Ultimately, that may be what happens.
Yeah.
But
And it'll be an early prediction for it. If Ant gets that on the board now, then people will be like, hey,
Put your bets in.
Yeah. Hey, I heard it.
Yeah, we don't win.
Sorry, you lost.
Yeah.
Although the KO one with Plant didn't age.
Hey, you know, it happens. Can't all be winners.
Right. But
Chocolatito, you were going to say something about the legend. Go ahead.
Not giving a pick in this fight because it
you know who you're picking.
I'm not. I was tempted to pick Julio Cesar Martinez. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Okay.
I was tempted to pick Julio Cesar Martinez because youth and speed. And this kid Martinez has got one of the best. He's one of the best combination punchers in boxing, but so is Gonzalez.
I was going to say, you were talking about combination punching. Let's relax.
But he's fresh.
Yeah.
And Gonzalez has had 50-plus fights. He's been in a lot of wars. He's in his 30s. Martinez got a little speed advantage. The thing is, though, he doesn't fade in the second half of fights, but he tapers off a little bit.
I can't say that.
What? What'd he say?
I don't know, but don't say that.
It wasn't going to be good. No. Relax.
When he called me in the car.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just go, man.
Yeah, go ahead. No, he's not beating him. Go ahead. Keep cooking.
Okay, I like this. Go ahead.
Well, Martinez, though, he doesn't fade, but he tapers off a little bit in the second half. Gonzalez doesn't. But one thing that's not good for Martinez.
I was going to say, you got to taper off, but then you said Gonzalez does. I was like,
right. and you know, there was fights where you didn't. Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
You didn't taper off. Yeah. So but the thing is, though, and he's got faster hands than Gonzalez, but everything's right here. It's around. And Gonzalez has this beautiful straight right, knifing right hand to the body and to the head.
And he's going to be in the pocket.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
if this kid
for the right hand.
Yeah.
Man, if this kid doesn't get tired, he may very well beat Roman Gonzalez.
What happened last night with Martinez?
So
Ancajas, he
First off,
didn't get tired.
Don't
his point.
Don't ever mention Ancajas in the same sentence as Straka.
No, I'm just saying he didn't get tired. We're looking at
But Martinez, I believe, is at that weight typically.
You know, couple
Martinez Julio Cesar Martinez, not at this weight. He's moving up in weight.
he's a little guy.
Moving up to
He's
fight.
a little guy.
Yeah.
He's 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know his trainer's Reynoso, though.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your prediction?
Chocolatito wins.
What round?
I don't think he stops him.
What
He
you
wins,
got?
though.
Just guarantee fight of the year candidate. I'm good on
100%.
Damn, we going
It's gonna-
early.
50-50 type fight.
Y'all going early.
Yeah.
I'm just salty. I can't guarantee the hug.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to get this dude that hug.
It's going to happen before I die.
With
it'll
Gonzalez?
happen. Yeah.
Oh, he'll hug you. Just go to San Diego.
Well, I don't want to hug the guy on. I don't want to hug the guy on fight night. But Nah, we'll see what happens. But I'm excited to hopefully be there. That'll be my second time seeing the legend in person.
Just waiting on the email.
I saw him on.
From the PRs and stuff.
Yeah,
they come Monday. Don't worry about it.
You're unbelievable.
There you go. They come Monday.
Don't you? They come Monday. But no. Last time I saw him was on a Triple G undercard at the Forum in LA. But
it's been a while since you saw him.
Been a while since I saw him.
Was that guy knocked out in 2 rounds?
Did he fight McWilliams?
Oh no, that went 12. That went 12.
Yeah, it was a good fight though.
And he came out to I Believe I Can Fly. I remember that.
Yeah, and Triple G knocked somebody out. It was just one of those guys that he knocked out.
It might have been Dominic Wade. It might have been.
I think it was. I believe it was Dominic Wade. But
they was hyping Dominic Wade up for that fight too.
Yeah. And then Triple G sat him down.
That's what they gotta
do. What was your story to close us out here? Is it still funny? Does it still make sense?
I was at Smith's. Okay. Walking out of Smith's,
aka Kroger's,
aka your
or
friendly
Mark's,
neighborhood grocery store. Yeah. And I happened to see this car with a whole bunch of stickers on the back of the car on the bumper.
Okay.
Black Lives Matter, and it was a whole bunch of Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. As I'm walking to the car, I'm like, dang, I haven't seen this. I said,
not in this white hood.
I said, yeah. I was like, either Carson Mark about to get out this car or it's a black guy getting out this car. Yep. First thing I thought of. I was like, because you love black people. I was like, either it's Carson Mark.
And you're great, and you make some great Kool-Aid. So
I said either Carson Mark getting out of this car has got to be a black guy.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing that many stickers on a car in general, and usually it's not a black person with stickers on it. Right. And so that's why I was like, either Carson getting out of this car, it's better be a black person getting out of this car.
And black lives do matter.
Was it Carson?
It wasn't
Carson.
I don't think I have any stickers on my car. I have a Cavs license plate cover, but I think that's it. I don't have any other flair.
Browns for me.
I need to get a Niners one, although I'm wearing Dolphins today.
Yeah, and you got show them the shirt underneath. Give them a quick.
Oh yeah. Hold on one moment, please.
ThePorterway.com.
ThePorterway.com. Go get your merch. Shout out to my man Mainland.
Yeah,
pulled up to the house the other day. Met my guy Sean. That was a great moment.
When you wear the Porterway podcast shirt, brother.
He was doing push-ups before the show. And got the Dorian Thompson Roberts.
Oh man, you know what that is.
Little DTR
hey, shout out to my man Dorian Thompson Roberts. Friends over fans or fans over friends, whatever. Go to DTR.com.
UCLA quarterback.
Yeah, UCLA. Shout out to all the Vegas kids. Keep sending me their merch, and I keep wearing it. I got you guys.
Shout out to Le'Veon Bell. He was at the fights. Went up to the round. I was like, that is Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. Yo, Bell. You gotta hold the belt up, man.
Held it up for a second. And then
you asked me about him in your gym years ago. Now I think about it.
Look, he said, oh yeah, you're right. He put it up and then he was like,
it went back down. Went back down.
It's heavy.
And shout out to the Cavs for all doing shout outs.
This is the Porter Way. What's up? I'm Showtime Shawn Porter.
I'm Ant. Follow me on IG, Ant with 2 T's.
This is the Porter Way podcast. This is Anthony Brunel, and this is Carson A. Merck. Tell them what to do.
Hey, like, subscribe, comment, follow us on all social media platforms.
Subscribe.
I'm from Louisiana. I'll talk with a B. Let's do it. Let's do it again. All right.
Just introduce yourself.
Okay.
And then you tell them what to do.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Porter Way podcast.
You're already here.
hey, this is our outro. We're gonna do it how we want to.
I'm Showtime Shawn Porter.
I'm Anthony Brindle.
Carson A. Merck. Like, subscribe, comment.
This is the Porter Way.